about a class of about 1,000 people without the public at all of the products, some of the things that we put out there in the labor market. That's why they tell you that, oh, well, it became really important that people started looking at private universities, even secondary school, even nursery and primary schools, because you feel like, oh, the quality coming from the public sector is not as good as you want it. But somebody goes through that process, just like my guest said. It's quite an unfortunate space to be, where you know what it took you. There's going to be the ASUU strike problem. It could even be internal strike, warning strike. You feel like, oh, I schooled outside of the country. Now the investigation was not a big deal, but then now the validity of those certificates is being called into question as the result of the investigation that was carried out by that man. So I like the fact that the director of press talked about the fact that there's going to be an interagency investigation. So you ask, for someone that had observed the mandatory NYSC after schooling in Nigeria, graduated from a Nigerian university, observed his 1 year mandatory NYSC, and then he comes back after carrying out this investigation to still come in, and he was still cleared, he was still allowed, admitted into the scheme, a scheme he had actually done already and graduated. So what happens to database? What happens to, oh, you just click in the person's name and then his name pops up, like, oh, what's going on? This man had served in Akwa Ibom before. Oh, this man had served in Abakaliki before. That means something is wrong with the system. That means it's not just you cheating the system from outside. That means you can actually alter the system from inside. Because ordinarily I would expect that, oh, okay, NYSC, there's a large database that once you've gone through that system, once you've gone through that process, once you've reported to camp, the orientation, you've been assigned to your PPA, you did your 1 year, you were given your discharge certificate, you should have your name already on the database. Your car was not carrying out an investigation. That means he would have just gone into the system, do NYSC twice, collect Alawi twice, and it just probably will have 2 NYSC discharge certificates. So I'm really looking forward to the outcome of the committee that will be set up by the Minister of Information, Professor Dᴏİľ, and it's going to address, it's going to release a press statement by 7 this evening. You can always trust us on Mela 98.3 FM that would the director of press everywhere. So we have to quickly do that so that we got to find sectors of the economy and how all of them are responding to 7.5. That was the proposed budget, but the Nigerian Senate, the National Assembly, in their wisdom, feels like, you know what, let us add up a little over 1 trillion to it. Let this handle a couple of, because I've seen a lot of write-ups by very big economists saying 27 trillion is too small for a large economy like Nigeria, with a population explosion that is going wild every single day. 230 million. That's the recent figures that was given. I mean, we've not had population census in a very long time. I think the last we had was 2003 or 2005 or 2003 or thereabouts. I would certainly pick up that now. And we've not had that since then. Hey, a lot of things had gone on. A lot of people have died. A lot of many more people have joined this country called Nigeria from wherever they're coming in from. But the most important thing is that we must be very sure of the quality of database that we have in this country. People just wake up and say, oh, there's a population explosion in Kano, there's huge migration into Lagos, and people are coming in their numbers. By now, Lagos should be like 40 million. There's no country that would survive putting your population or your numbers on assumptions. There's no country that would survive. There's no economy that would grow. When you have public utilities that you feel like should serve the need of maybe 1, 2, 3 million people, and then about 10 million people are having access, are using those facilities, it will certainly reduce the lifespan of those facilities, and that's the fact. So I think these are the issues. Maybe this investigation is a way for the federal government to sit back and say, you know what, let us fix education in this country. Whatever course that is being studied anywhere in the world, we'll have it in a Nigerian university. Let us make sure that it won't repeat itself. Now we have a lot of private universities everywhere, and they don't come cheap. We have a lot of, private secondary schools everywhere. They don't come cheap. So you don't trust the public system. There's supposed to be 6 years plus my housemanship. Investigation will be done properly, and then whoever is being found guilty would be brought to book. And I really, pity those people that are legitimately schooling in those countries, and they've just been cutting this web. And hey, I'm sure based on what my guests not cheated the system. So I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to, hey, we would always say the government is not doing enough. Oh, the government is bad, the system is bad, but a lot of us are benefiting. Or perhaps there's someone within the 𝗃ⴗ we had how we ended the year, the expectation. They signed the budget yesterday, and you would expect that by now, everybody should come through. All the ministers should probably resume from their break and get to work. This country needs to be properly fixed. Okay, I'm trying to link up with the other guests so that we look at how the business community are preparing for 2024 based on the policies of the government. If you check the indices of last year, a lot of small businesses in this country felt the heat of the removal of subsidy. A lot of them could not sustain their businesses. Even the more bigger multinational companies, a lot of them left the country. And even some of the bigger companies that we have here, they have to let go of staff, they have to downsize, they have to reduce salaries so that they can keep everything together. Receiving the budgets, receiving the speech of Mr. President, and what are the expectations from because hey, the government cannot do it alone. The private sector has a huge role to play in how big the Nigerian economy will get, in how we can sustain this Nigerian economy. Because at the end of the day, the government can do little. The state government would employ, in a population that is estimated to be about 230 million, and we have a workforce that is over 100 million. How many parastatals do we have within the government that can employ those people? How many departments do we have? How many ministries do we have? How many agencies do we have? Even at the federal and the state level. So there had to be this synergy, this coordination between the private sector and the government. Because you look at big companies, for instance, a lot of them have a staff role that are even bigger than some states in this country. So it looks like, this so company, they produce this, they do this, they do this, they monopolize the market. The government can do almost nothing because they are also employers of labor in large numbers. So sometimes when you feel like, this company is monopolizing the market, they produce cements, they produce this, they do that, it's only them. It is because they're employing the people in their hundreds of thousands. So there's little or nothing the government would do. It looks like some of the policies of the government would favor them. So imagine when you don't patronize those individuals, and then they let go of the maybe 100,000 staff that they have scattered across the country in their different organizations. Where would you put those people? Where would you put those people? Everywhere in the world, a government gives tax vacation to some big organizations. They do support system, pumping monies into some of these organizations so that they would meet up with the demands, especially the welfare concerns of their staff. Well, it's huge and it's big. It seems I won't be able to link up with my guests, so let's join the conversation. What do you make of that investigation? Is that an indictment on the country again, or is just those things that will come out and blame the government for, when we ourselves as individuals, as citizens of the country, are also benefiting from a faulty system? I imagine how many Nigerians that we have that must have, at some point gotten this certificate, and they are everywhere, schooled outside of the country, have a foreign degree. Talk to us 0913-600-0410. We'll still try to link up with our guests so that we can get this perspective from the business community. Hello, good afternoon.
My name is Edward from Malakuko.
Okay, Mr. Edward from Malakuko, good to have you today.
Okay, you see that investigation. If they should not open kind of one in this country because so many people are involved. Can you imagine? 𝗪𝗪 qualified as a lawyer, barrister, from Base University, spending 2.5 years with it, course for 5 years. The present Minister for Education is the 𝗬𝗎 of Base University at that time. This university is owned by Peter Obi, vice president. So if they want to open up themselves, let them open up very well. So many people are involved. Look at NYSC. NYSC, I serve in Abuja. If you want to serve 2-3 times, it's allowed. Provided you don't have anything to do after your first service. Because NYSC has no data, has no information. I have a friend that served 3 times. It's after he got a job that he has to resign from NYSC and come and face it. That's no information whatsoever.
Thank you very much. And that's crazy. Like, how do you serve 3 times? Like, I can't wrap my head around it. How do people beat the system so bad? Okay, let's talk. Hello, good evening. Can you just speak up a little bit? I can barely hear you.
Okay, good evening. I'm Austin calling from Ojo.
Okay, Mr. Austin from Ojo, you're welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. I love it, so I do. You know, look, it is not that we cannot do the right thing. After all, I have a genuine certificate, and I can defend my certificate. I did computer science on my HNG, while my PGD, I did it on education. But I want to go into it, so I can defend it. I can defend every value. That is more reason why we have graduates that cannot read. They are doctors, lawyers. See, okay, for this mayhem to cease, we have to start from the top. And when we keep blaming us, we citizens, sometimes these people see what the top are doing. Let me give you a scenario, okay? Now, do you remember when the Senate were screening a minister, the issue of certificates and results came up, and they have to overlook it. So, but it begins from that part. Look, I can bet it. Every of our senators, only about 2 or 3 have a good certificate. That is the fact. And only why the rest cannot read and write and make a simple sentence, but just because in the government, so they use money. So the same thing goes down to citizens, whereby even our company, our institution are also not helping matter where they love someone that has a certificate. So we are certificate-oriented country. We are not believing on the individual talent and performance. This person can do this thing without certificate. So all these things create people to lobbying and to do nonsense. Okay, I'm a court teacher, not because I'm hungry or because there's no work anywhere. So that's why I'm teaching. I've been teaching for more than 10 years. And I can defend every part of teaching. No professor on teaching on education can beat me down in terms of teaching, because I know it. So I am proud of my certificate. But the people in government are there. No, because it is in the judiciary and the rest of them that we also lobby and wave up matter. It is high time we open up everything and let us say it. So
Thank
that
you.
Not say I am saying nonsense. If our president participate that the issue.
Okay. let us leave the conversation where we are right now. Let's leave it right now.
Yes, now the same thing now. It begins from the top now. By the time the better people do their own, everybody now chief now who then carry the only.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much. I totally understand where you're coming from. I've seen, reports where they said, oh, somebody reported to camp, or a core member reported to their place of practice as 9.